Henry Smith was a Puritan preacher in London in the late 1500s. By the testimony of numerous writers, Henry Smith is lauded as one of the most, and some say the most, influential and beloved preachers of his time. His eloquence in preaching earned him the nickname Silver-Tongued Smith. Only limited details of Henry Smith's life have been preserved for us. Even the dates of his birth and death are uncertain. Henry was born in the town of Leicestershire around 1560. He attended Cambridge and later earned a Master of Arts degree from Hart Hall, where he gained the reputation as being esteemed the miracle and wonder of his age, for his prodigious memory and for his fluent, eloquent, and practical way of preaching. Henry never married. He spent his life fully devoted to preaching and serving the Lord. According to one writer, Henry was resolved to improve his utmost in his ministerial calling for the glory of God. In 1587, when Henry was about 27 years old, he was appointed to be the regular preacher at St. Clement Danes, an Anglican church in Westminster, London. There, Henry Smith attracted great crowds, with people standing in the aisles and overflowing out the doors. One writer described him as preaching against city vices, against the sin of usury, against lawyers, against sleeping in church physically and spiritually, gambling, extravagance in dress and fashion, drunkenness, and other crudities of conduct. Though it should be said that these topics are only introduced by the way as practical applications of spiritual truths which are more broadly apprehended. Another writer states, combining the force of language with the force of thought, his sermons constitute a distinguished collection and ensure that whenever English sermons are talked of, Henry Smith's will be mentioned with respect and admiration. He was one of London's most popular preachers, but he withdrew from preaching around 1589 when he was overtaken by illness, and he gave himself to writing sermons for publication. After his death, his books were among the best sellers in England. One of Henry Smith's most read publications was a lengthy tract he wrote titled God's Arrows Against Atheists. In 6 chapters, this booklet states very directly that the Christian religion is the only true religion in the world and that God is pleased with it. Early in this tract, Henry Smith writes a detailed passage showing that Jesus Christ is and must be the Messiah promised in Old Testament scriptures. Listen as I read for you a significant portion of it. It was foretold that the Messiah would be born of a virgin, Isaiah 7:14, that his place of birth would be Bethlehem, Micah 5:2, and that at his birth all the infants around Bethlehem would be slain for his sake, Jeremiah 31:15. The kings of the earth would come and adore him, offering gold and other gifts, Psalm 72:10. He would be presented in the temple of Jerusalem to enhance the glory of the second temple, Malachi 3:1. He would flee into Egypt and be recalled from there, Hosea 11:1. A star would appear at his birth to announce his coming into the world, Numbers 24:17. John the Baptist, who came in the spirit and power of Elijah, would be the messenger to go before him, preparing the way and crying in the desert, Isaiah 40 verse 3, Malachi 4 verse 5. Furthermore, he would begin his own preaching with humility, gentleness, and meekness, Isaiah 42, 1 and 2. He would be poor, lowly, and of no worldly reputation, Isaiah 53, Daniel 9, Zechariah 9. He would perform miraculous wonders and heal all diseases, Isaiah 29:18. He would die and be slain for the sins of his people, Daniel 9, Isaiah 53. He would be betrayed by one of his disciples who had eaten with him, Psalm 41:9. Psalm 55, 12 through 14. He would be sold for 30 pieces of silver, Zechariah 11:12. He would ride into Jerusalem on a donkey before his passion, Zechariah 9:9. They would whip his body before putting him to death, Isaiah 53:5. Psalm 129:3. He would be put to death among thieves and malefactors, Isaiah 53:12. They would give him vinegar to drink, divide his garments, and cast lots for his clothing, Psalm 69:21. Psalm 22:18. He would die by crucifixion, that is, his hands and feet would be nailed to a cross, Psalm 22:16. His side would be pierced, and people would look upon him whom they had pierced. Zechariah 12:10. He would rise from the dead on the third day. Psalm 16:10. Hosea 6:2. He would ascend into heaven and sit at the right hand of his Father, reigning in glory and sovereignty. Psalm 110, verses 1 and 2. All these things, and whatever else pertains to the Messiah, are perfectly fulfilled in Jesus Christ and in no one else. Therefore, he alone and no one else is the true Messiah. Christian, God's servants have been faithfully preaching the message of Christ all around the world for the last 2,000 years. Stay the course.